Oh, you've got to introduce me.
I got the easy job.
Right. So,
Hi, good morning to everyone that's joining us. We're just going to wait a few minutes to the top of the hour as everybody continues to join. Good morning, everyone. I see the numbers ticking up. People are starting to join, so we're just going to wait until the top of the hour and then we'll get going. Welcome to our program.
right.
Just me.
Yeah. I just wanted, yeah, I was trying to see if I could see it or not. Whoops, that's not going to work.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. We're just going to wait maybe one more minute and we'll get started right at the top of the hour. I still see people joining. All right, we have just hit the top of the hour. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Is that good with you, Wolf?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, very good. Well, welcome everyone. I think we're now all in good afternoon across all of our time zones. Welcome to day 2 of Wellbeing Week in Law. Our theme today is Align or spiritual well-being. And the program today is 4 spiritual practices to foster purpose in your everyday life. I am Ann Bradford. I'm the Vice President of the Institute for Wellbeing in Law, and I am the Chair and Founder of Wellbeing Week in Law. And before I introduce Wolf, I just want to thank our sponsors. We have 2 big sponsors this year for Wellbeing Week in Law, which are Virgin Pulse and Canyon Ranch. So thanks so much to them. I am super excited to get to introduce Wolf today. I actually tracked him down and recruited him based on his cool background that I thought would be such a great fit for today's theme of Wellbeing Week. And for the past 12 years, what Wolf has been doing is he's the spiritual and wellness director at Pavillon, which is a center for the treatment of alcohol and drug addictions. And what he does there, among the things that he does, is facilitate spirituality group processes, spiritual ritual for healing, and he gives lectures on the importance of spirituality and mindfulness practices in addiction treatment. Wolf is also an ordained minister, and he is certified in outdoor education and martial arts. And he has been providing spiritual guidance and practical wellness advice for over 30 years to people across all walks of life. And I'm so grateful to have him here today to provide us all with some spiritual guidance. So Wolf, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. The first thing I want to talk about a little bit is about the the statement about spiritual, because that always confuses people, spiritual versus religious. Everybody has their own practice, their own ideology is what they believe. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to learn a little bit about self-awareness. We're going to learn about some movement. We're going to learn about breath. But everybody that's on here, I want you to take into account whatever your spiritual connection is, to bring that into the practices that I'm going to show you. So it's about setting an intention. It's about reaching out to how you identify your source or the creator or God or your higher power, as we use in recovery terminology, to help you be able to connect during these practices in sort of self-care. So it's not just about doing some exercises or some breathing, it's about connecting to that source. And a lot of times, so many programs, they just teach you the techniques and they don't add in the spiritual component. Where I work and my philosophy is that there's no separation between spirituality and wellness, because we have this human body, we have our human emotions, and we have to live there our whole life. And our connection to our spirituality, whatever that is the foundation to be able to move through life in our bodies and in our emotions. And so that's what we're going to explore a little bit. So I want you to just keep that in the back of your mind, and I'll try to talk about it a little bit more and make little reminders. So the very first thing I want to talk about is something called self-awareness. And we've all heard that term. We've all heard the term mindfulness before, and what that is. And so self-awareness is the deeper set of what I define as mindfulness. So we all know mindfulness is about being in the present moment, knowing, paying attention to what's going on right now. So the awareness piece that I try to talk about is that what is deeper in that moment. And so we're going to play around a little bit. I'm going to show you a couple of things. We're going to take a few minutes just to get started. And what we're going to do is I want everybody just take a nice, slow, deep breath in through your nose. And back out through your mouth. I'm just going to do one thing on my screen here. Oh, okay, never mind. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to use our senses to be mindful in the present moment, but then we're going to go deeper with it. So the first thing I want you to do, we're going to go back to our breath, and I want you to, as you breathe in, I want you to feel being in the moment. I want you to connect whatever your belief system is, and I want you to think about that your breath is your life force, and that without it, you're not going to live very long. So we can live without food and water for quite a bit of time, but a couple of minutes without our breath and we're struggling a little bit. So just take a deep breath in and think about what your spiritual connection is yourself. Life force, breathing into creator, breathing in God, however you define that. Now we're going to understand. We're going to take a minute. We're going to understand the importance of our breath. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep breath in. We're going to let it all out, and then we're going to hold. So we are going to stand or sit or wherever you happen to be, and we're not going to breathe for a couple of minutes. And I want you to feel what's really, really deep inside your body. So take a deep breath in. Let it all out. And hold. Okay, everybody just go back to breathing normal. So a lot of times when you don't have any air in your body, couple of things that happen is that your brain starts to go into fight flight response, and we start to actually feel some things that people feel when they get anxiety or even panic attack. It's like all the things that trigger those emotions happen when we don't have any air. And so it's really important to understand that we really need our breath. So I'm going to go to breathing a little bit more deeper in the next one. But so this time, what I want you to do, we've become self-aware of what it's like not to breathe. Now what we're going to do is we're going to close our eyes, and I want you to listen to whatever it is that you hear, wherever you are. And when you hear that sound, I want you to think, how is it connected to your belief system? And what is deeper behind that? So when you listen from that space of total awareness, what is the deeper emotional content that you feel internally? So everybody just close your eyes for a minute. All right, open your eyes. Now, so I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. So I'm standing in my office, and I have a clock in front of me that's ticking, and I have a wellness room that's behind me in our program here, and there's some music going on, and I can hear a couple of people in there working out, and so my awareness in the sound was, to me, the connection that I have to those individuals in that other room, which are the people that I work with on a daily basis and helping them find their health and wellness. The clock ticking was just the sound of I sort of related it to crickets. Like I could shift my thinking and my awareness to the clicking of a clock, to the sound of crickets, which is what is one of my favorite sounds in the beginning of spring out here. It just kind of comes full space. Just give me I'm going to try to, I don't know why I can't get my video up here a little better, and I'm wondering if I can see a little bit of the chat that's going on. There we go. So yeah, so how does those things come into a deeper place? So we did breath, we did sound. Now I want you to just take a minute and look around of what you see around you. And where does your eye stop? So if you're in your house or if you're in your office or wherever, where does your eye stop? At what point when you're looking around does your eye stop and you just see something that you just have a feeling about? It's just there's a little bit of magic in there. There's a little bit of connection to whatever your belief system is. Just take a minute to observe that. Okay, so again, using an example of what's in my office here. So I'm an artist and a photographer, and so my office looks more like you can't really tell from where you are, but it looks a little bit like a gallery. But over in that corner, I have some pictures of my granddaughter, and obviously that's where my focal point went. And then I could let myself go into the love and the connection that I have, and the fact that my relationship in my spiritual life allows me to have that relationship in my heart and in that connection with my granddaughter and my daughter, who's also pictures up there. So it's this deeper emotional place that we want to reach into when we work on this concept of mindfulness and being present in the moment. We can use our senses. We want to be present in whatever it is that we're doing. And then again, going deeper in and going, what's on under the surface. So the mindfulness, think of the mindfulness as the surface of the ocean, for instance. The mindfulness is the waves and all the beauty and the sounds and that sort of thing. But if you allow yourself to go deeper, what's under the ocean? What's in the water? What's in the depth? So the other thing, some of you may find this one a little weird, but what we're going to do is we're going to now, I do this actually with, I worked with blind people for a long time. And so I learned this. I worked at the deaf and blind school for years when I was younger. And I learned this from working with blind people. And I use it with people who are not blind, who are full-sighted. But it tends to be a powerful experience. So I'll put two people together and they'll close their eyes and they'll feel each other's faces and try to visualize the connection that they have with that person, what the person's features are, and then try to go again deeper in to really feel what that person is, and how that person is related to the rest of the universe that was created by God or the universe or the Tao or whatever you're comfortable with. So if you're with somebody, you can do that. Since most of us may be by ourselves, we're going to do it with ourselves. So I want you to close your eyes. I want you to put your hands on your face, and I want you to feel your own face. And just go over like your eyes, the shape of your nose, cheekbones. You reach back into your ears and be just, wow, talk about thankful that you can hear, and then your eyes being thankful that you can see, and your nose being thankful that you can smell, your lips thankful that you can talk and maybe even kiss and smile, and down into your face. Just let yourself feel your face. And as you're doing that, I want you just to think about yourself as part of creation, being created in this beautiful context of a human being with all the little bits and pieces. If you're old like me, the little bumps and wrinkles. If you're young, the softness. Maybe let yourself smile and feel how your lips go into a smile. All right, let's just come out of that. So it's probably that one's a little bit more. It's really, if you have somebody that you're really close to, if you've never sat with your eyes closed and really tried to feel the features, and think about a blind person that has to live their life. That's how they get to know people, is by doing that. It's a very powerful experience. Of course, if you weren't doing that and you were watching all of us do it, then it's kind of a spiritual experience in that context too, in the fact that it probably looked really unique for everybody to be feeling their face. All right, so we can use this really deeper self-awareness in both physical touch, all our senses, and it's about going deeper into what's below or interior of the moment that you're living in. So, and that's what I identify as awareness versus mindfulness. So you can take that anywhere you want. Even in your reading, you're reading something and it's like, okay, I've read something. What is deeper? What is the author saying between the lines? That's an idea of an awareness kind of practice. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to I'm going to tie all this into like throughout your day and here in a little bit. But the next one we're going to do is we are going to do a little bit of breath work that was different than what we were doing. So a couple of things that a lot of people don't understand is we now know from holding our breath that we really need breath. And yet the other side of it is we don't think about the fact that we even breathe a lot of times for people. One of the things that people don't understand is when do we hold our breath? Well, we hold our breath during times when we're crying, when we're frightened, when we're angry, these high intense emotional kind of places. Sometimes even when we're super happy, we can do that. Holding our breath obviously affects our brains. And, I can tie, I'm probably going to tie a little neuroscience in as we go along to this because it's all connected. Science and spirituality and wellness and everything is connected. There's not a separation that we've always thought about. So in our breathing, a couple of things, when you breathe in, you're stimulating your brain, you're stimulating your blood vessels, you're stimulating your everything internally to get you, fired up. And so we don't want to take great big deep breaths if we're already in our so-called fight flight response. We want to actually slow our breath down. So we're going to talk about relaxation through our breath and then how to stimulate a couple other things. So in the relaxation part of your breath, you want to actually control your breath coming out. It is the thing that's going to calm you down. So we're going to do 4 breath practice, four turns of this particular breath practice. And then I just want you to let yourself, going back into what we talked earlier, the awareness, and I want you to let yourself just feel what's inside and what's going on inside. Now, the one thing that I tie breath into spirituality is a combination of life force. If you know the term prana, it means spirit. In Christianity, it talks about the breath of God. That is the life force that keeps us alive. We just can't live without it. And so no matter what, every time you take a deep breath in, you are connecting to whatever your spiritual belief is. Even if it's just quantum physics and you believe in molecules and neurons and all that sort of stuff, they're all in the room with you wherever you are, and you're breathing that in. So no matter what, you are connecting to your spiritual source every time you take a breath. So we're going to do a little breath practice to help us to calm down first. So we're going to do this 4 times. What you're going to do is you're going to breathe in through your nose. And when you breathe out, we're going to breathe out through our mouth. And I want you to make a ha sound, a little bit of a ha sound. Unless you're watching this from, your coffee shop, and then you might want to be really a little bit quiet. But I'll demonstrate once, and we're going to control the breath coming out. So you're going to just take a nice, normal, deep breath in. And then as I let it out, I'm going to go. And I don't want you to let the breath out so long that you have to gasp for another one. And we're going to do this 4 times. And then what I want you to do is feel that energy, feel what's inside, feel that self-awareness again as to you feel better, you feel calmer, whatever. So, and the ha sound helps you to control your breath coming out. And so in the practice, you try to get your breath coming out a lot longer. That was a little short. I can go much longer, but all right. So we're going to do this 4 times. So take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth with a ha sound. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. Now just go to your normal breathing and let yourself feel how you're feeling. So you should feel more calm. And this is a really good practice to learn how to do to control that breath. And after a while, you can do it without the ha sound. And I was sort of emphasizing it a little more. I don't do it that loud. But what it does is it settles a part of your brain called the amygdala. And as you're breathing out, you're kind of breathing out all the stress and everything. And it's calming that part of your brain down. And it's a really good, if you have a little anxiety or something, it's a really good breath exercise just to get you to calm down. It's also a good one you can do at the end of the day for sleep, to get you into the sleep mode. If you do that more than 4 times, 7, 10, 12 times, something like that, you'll find that your body will just relax every time you breathe out. Now, the other side of that is during the day, I might want to have some energy. And so part of it is that I want to reverse that, and I want to get my energy from my oxygen and from my life force and from that spiritual connection that I have. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a deep breath in, and then at the very top of the breath, I'm going to add a little bit more breath. And so we're going to try that 4 times and just see how you feel. Sometimes when you're learning breath work, and you're beginning to do it, what ends up happening is you feel a little lightheaded. That's normal. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not doing anything. Your body is not used to that kind of stimulation from oxygen or lack of oxygen or controlled oxygen. So this one is that you're going to breathe in through your nose, and then the very top, when you feel like you're almost at the top of your breath in, your normal breath in, then you're going to add a little bit more breath. So let me demonstrate. I'm going to hold it just for a couple of seconds at the top. So we're going to do that 4 times. So I'm going to breathe in. Again, breathe in. Again. All right, and back to your normal breathing. Now, if you learn to do that, what'll end up happening is that's an exercise that will wake you up. So you don't want to do that before you go to bed. You don't want to do that if you're trying to relax. But that's one in the middle of the day, you've had a nice big lunch and you've been on Zoom all morning. Hopefully we're getting rid of that part of it. And you're in the afternoon and it's like 1:30 and you're like, oh my God, I got a meeting to go to in half an hour and I feel like I'm just want to crawl under my desk and have a nap. If you can go out and do that breathing exercise for a few minutes and get used to it, you're going to find that you have vitality, you have this life force in you, you're connected, that sort of thing. The other really big part about breath work all the way around is that if you can do it outside, it's more powerful than doing it inside. But some of us work inside, and you might work in an environment where it's like, okay, well, I can't really do that. I'm at my desk or whatever. You might know a little space you can go to and do that sort of stuff. You don't have to, I'm kind of emphasizing a lot of the sound so you can hear it, but you can do that. So I'll just demonstrate that one. So it's not quite as loud, same as the breathing out one. But breath is our life force. It connects us to whatever is out there, whatever our spiritual belief is. And again, we can't live without the breath. Now, one other thing I want to talk about with breath that people don't understand. So each nostril we have, when we breathe in one side, it goes to the opposite side of our brain, just like our brain operates the opposite side of our bodies. And we have two sides of our brain. We have sort of the more intellectual side, and then we have the more creative side. So the more creative side is your right brain. So I'm touching the right side. And for you guys that are watching, that looks like I'm touching my left. So touch your right side, don't follow my hand. But what I want to do is if I want to not trigger, but if I want to stimulate the right side of my brain, which is my creative side. So say I've got a creative project to do, or I just want to get out of my intellectual side. All I got to do is I put one finger over the opposite nostril. So this is my left nostril. And I'm going to take about 10 nice, slow, deep breaths in and out through my nose only, not through my mouth. I'll just do 5 as a demonstration. So what I'm doing is I'm actually cutting the oxygen off to the intellectual side, the left side of my brain. So this is a really good one, and I'll talk about this when we get to the end of this. I'm going to talk about the evening practice and tying all these things together. If I'm one of these people that have a lot of things going on in my head and I want to get out of that, if you move your breath and your brain into your creative side, which is where our dreams come from, where our creativity, where we enjoy music, sort of things like that. If we kind of close up the oxygen to the more intellectual side, the more place where we kind of hold all those thoughts and all those things that are on our to-do list, and that if we close that up and open up our other side, our creative side, that's going to stimulate that and it's going to calm our mind down. Vice versa. I've got I know tax season is over, but I've got to get ready to do my taxes, which is something that I'm a creative person. I try to live on my right side. My left side is not my best side. Math is not my greatest. And so I actually do the breathing practice in reverse when I have to write some kind of big report that maybe has some statistics in it or something, not a poem, for instance. Or when I have to do my taxes, or I have to balance my checkbook, I will take a few minutes to shut off the right side and stimulate the left side of my brain. And I literally can feel the difference. So as a photographer and artist, when I go down, I do this breathing technique to open up my creative side before I go into I have an art studio in my house, before I go in and do my art. And then if I have to do something that's more on the intellectual side, I'll do a breathing practice of that. I've been doing breathing for quite a while, and actually I've been breathing my whole life, but hopefully all of you have too. But these practices, so I might do 20, right? When I first started doing breathing practices, I did get that kind of head rush and stuff like that. But the more I do, the more I've done it over time, the more that that doesn't have an effect anymore. So it's all about that kind of practice. So we've talked about this using our senses and our awareness and going deeper into our psyche kind of thing with the awareness. And now we've talked about our breath. The next one I want to do is a little bit of movement exercise. So some of you may be familiar with Qigong. Qigong, Qi is your energy that moves through your body, and Gong is kind of the force of the way that you move it. And it comes out of Tai Chi, an ancient Chinese practice. And there's lots and lots of Qigong practices. If there's something that you want to look up to get more energy or relax or beginning Qigong, Qigong is much easier to use and to learn. So there's lots of videos out there on YouTube and stuff. And the reason that it's easier to learn than, say, a Tai Chi practice, which is wonderful, is they're short. They're very short, and they stimulate different aspects of your body. So I'm just going to step back a little bit so you can, I might angle my computer down a little bit here so you can just kind of watch. So the very first thing we're going to do, I want you to stand with your feet. You can't see my feet, but my feet are about shoulder width apart, and my knees are just a little bit bent. Now, if you're sitting and you can't stand, okay, you can do this, but you're going to do it a little bit higher up. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take our arms, come back here a little bit more, so you guys can see. I was trying to play around with this in my office. So what you're going to do is you're just going to bring your arms around here, and I'm going to turn around in a minute, okay? And so if you're sitting, you just bring them up a little bit higher up your rib cage. It's still going to stimulate. And from the back, when I bring my hand around, this hand is right in here. Here's my rib cage, and here's my hip. I want to just kind of tap in there, not hard. So I'm just going to come around, and I'm going to do this. Just some nice, slow, deep breaths. And what this is doing is it's stimulating what we call your kidney chi, or the energy in your kidneys. Your kidneys actually do more than just what we learn in the West here. Your kidneys actually regulate and stimulate all the different organs and all the different parts of your body. And so it helps you have more energy. It helps you be able to, your immune system is going to help you be able to relax and sleep better. It even, and obviously helps you with your bathroom, any bathroom things you got going on. It is your kidneys, but it does more than that. It stimulates you. You're just gently swinging your arms back and forth. You're opening your arms and relaxing. And okay, let's just go there. Now we're just going to take, and we're going to, again, my knees are bent, and I just had a knee replacement. So this is a, you can do this if you, I literally a month ago had a knee replacement. So it's doable. It's not you're trying to jump. But what I want you to do is just wherever you are, if you're in a chair, you can do this. I want you just to bounce a little bit. Just follow your breath. Just let yourself bounce. And what this is doing is, believe it or not, little tiny bounces like this is actually stimulating. It's moving all your organ systems around a little bit. It's just stimulating those organ systems on the inside of your body. And we're just going to do a little bit more bouncing. Okay. Now, we're going to do what's called cloud hands or floating clouds or whatever. Some people, there's different names for it. So you're just going to bring your hand up here in front of your face with your palm up. You're going to bring your other arm up underneath it, and you're going to turn. And all I'm doing is turning at my hips. And I'm just alternating back and forth. Nice, slow, deep breath in. You're letting it out. So I'm breathing in here, letting it out. Breathing in here, letting it out. You take and just close your eyes if you want to try that. So from a spiritual standpoint, I want you to think about that you are a tree. These are just, you're just kind of blowing in the wind. you're rooted. Your roots and your trunk are in the earth. Your branches are just kind of floating on the wind. Couple more. So that will do, if you do it slow, like we just did it, that's going to, again, that's a good calming exercise. If I take and I speed it up a little bit, that is going to stimulate my body, build the energy up, and allow me to have more energy. All right. So we're gonna do one more. Sort of keep an eye on the time here. Okay, so we're gonna do another one. And this one, again, our feet are about shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent. And we're gonna open our hands up. We're gonna bring them in front of our face. And as we bring them down to just below our belly button, we're gonna sink in with our legs a little bit. And I don't have quite the room here to show you. Breathe in. We're going to sink. Breathe in. Breathing out as we sink. Couple more of these. Okay, just stop there. I was going to step up here and all right, just want to see what some of the chat stuff was. Okay, so that's going to ground us. It's going to bring us down. So again, if I have a, if I'm trying to get myself grounded, I got too much going on in my head, I just want to feel, again, this is a really powerful one to do in the mornings in bare feet, just to get yourself going. Anytime you can be on the earth in your bare feet. One thing that people don't know is that your acupuncture points for your whole body are actually in the bottom of your feet. And when you walk in bare feet and on the ground, or you're just standing and wiggling your feet in, why does it feel so good when you just kind of dig your feet into the sand or into the grass or whatever? It's because we're actually stimulating all the acupuncture points in our feet. So that's a good one. One of the other ones that you do is, so we're going to start with our hands out here. And you're going to bring your palms in, and you're going to bring them up in a kind of a prayer in front of your face, and you're going to open up here. And this is going to be pulling energy up. So this is pushing the energy down, relaxing. This is pulling the energy up. Open my hands up. Again, when I come down, I'm thinking about, so in Qigong, they talk about qi and they talk about the energy. You're thinking about grabbing a ball of energy and you're lifting it up, letting it up, lifting it up, letting it up. So I'm pulling energy. If I'm feeling a little scattered, I might do this one during the day to connect to the earth and just feel grounded. Never tried it in a skyscraper in New York, but I'm sure if you go deep enough with your knees, you will find you can reach into the earth. All right. So those have two different practices. And again, you can do, so this one that we do in with the grounding, if you happen to be in the mornings and you want to do this one, you think about pulling the energy of the new day or the sun in and bringing it down. Now, there's a place, if you find your belly button, I want you to take 3 fingers and put them below your belly button here and push on that little spot right there. That is actually the center of your physical body, pretty close. If I was to take a tape measure and measure you, you'd find that's about the center. The other thing is it's something called your dantian, which is the center of your energy or your chi in there. And so at the end of these practices, if you want to bring the energy in, so if I'm doing this one and I've done it a few times, and then the very last one I would do is I would bring my left hand down to my dantian, just below my belly button. I'd bring my right hand down, and I would just sit with that and let that energy come into me. The same as if I'm bringing the earth up at the very end, I would bring my left hand in and my right hand over top of it into my dantian, into below the center here, and bring that energy into me. It helps with grounding and that sort of thing. All right, so those are some breathing practices. The next thing I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about sleep and closing the day, and then I'll just kind of tie all these, how you can use them in different parts of the day. We all struggle with sleep. There's kind of some new studies out there that says that we need at least 7 hours is about the average, and people always struggle with sleep issues. As you get older, sleep becomes a lot of times harder to stay asleep all night or whatever. But one of the things that you want to do is you want to be able to get yourself relaxed. And a couple of things, I'm going to talk a little bit about the brain and the neuroscience just real quick. They know that light stimulates our nervous system and stimulates our body and our nervous system and everything else. If you, in the mornings when you get up and you can catch that first light that comes in, that's going to stimulate you for the day. If you are working in an office and you have lights above you, you have your computer a little bit above your eye level, having your head up a little bit like this actually stimulates your brain to keep you awake. If your computer is down, like right now, my computer is lower than my eye level. If I was to work on my computer at this, I would get tired eventually. Your computer down below your eye level is going to cause your brain to go into a more calm, quiet space, so you get more tired. And light does the same thing, artificial light as well as sunlight. If you can go out as the sun is beginning to set and you can catch a little bit of that light at the end of the day, and again, tying it into spirituality, the sun in lots of cultures throughout history, the sun has always been this powerful connection to the creator or God or life force or whatever. And then when it kind of goes and puts us to sleep. There's a cycle that is natural. That it's interesting. Everything on the planet operates around the cycles of the natural world. So the sun coming up, the sun going down, the moon phases, that sort of thing. The trees wake up in the morning, they go, I'm going to grow towards the sun today. And the squirrels get together and go, we're going to gather and hang out and chatter and that sort of thing. The tree doesn't wake up and go, oh, should I grow left or should I grow right? And the squirrels don't go, should we go to Walmart or should we go to Target? About the only species on the planet that doesn't know what they're doing are human beings. And that's part of our journey of figuring all that out. So going back to the light for a minute, at night when you want to settle down, if you can take and have lamps in your house that are lower than your visual and dim, that will help relax you and bring you into a calm place before you're getting ready to go to bed. The other thing is that we all know that, not being on your devices. Okay, so that's pretty common knowledge now. So I'm not going to get too much into that, but that's stimulating you. And so What you want to do is you want to do one of those relaxing breathing techniques that I just talked about, where you're controlling your breath out, breathing in, controlling your breath out. You might want to massage your face as you lay down. So you're in bed, you might want to massage your face. The other thing is, if you reach behind your neck here, you will feel that there's kind of two tendons on the back of your neck that go up into the base of your skull right here. These are called trigger points. They're called release points. And if you put your hands on top of your head and you put your thumbs on those 2 points and you push in and pull up and take some nice deep breaths with this, maybe say 3 or 4 deep breaths. One more breath. And relax. That is going to also relax you. So you're doing those breathing techniques, you're stimulating these points. By the way, these 2 points that are trigger points are also really good points if you have a headache. By holding those points and taking deep breaths and then releasing it, it actually releases the energy that gets trapped up in our heads when we start to get a headache. And so it's a really good technique. Or if you know somebody that can push on those points for you, you can put a little ball back there. These are acupuncture points that help both relax, release the energy out of your head. Again, from a breathing technique, when you're starting to settle down, is you want to, if your brain is going really crazy, then shut off your left side of your brain, just breathe into your creative side. It'll also help stimulate your dreams. And then, so this, going back to the awareness, the very first thing that we talked about. So in the mornings, when you wake up, before you get out of bed, so many people just wake up and they jump out of bed right away. And that's not helping us at all. Most animals, most cultures, ancient cultures never did that, lived close to the earth. When you first wake up, find your breath. Take a couple of deep breaths. Pay attention to how your body feels. Pay attention to what's really in your mind. You know, a lot of times what happens, we wake up, we have this really cool dream, and before we jump out of bed and we're like, oh, and then you can't remember it. So maybe you want to sit and remember your dream, a little bit of your dream. You just want to be present to waking up instead of just jumping up and getting going. Take a couple of nice, slow, deep, connecting breaths. And if you have a practice, if you have a spiritual practice of some sort, you might do a quick, wow, thank you, I'm alive. You know, one of the interesting things is that when we go to bed at night, there's no guarantee that we're going to wake up in the morning. I know that sounds gloomy, but it's the truth. And so when you wake up, don't jump out of bed, take a minute. And this isn't a big, huge practice. This isn't a big, giant 20-minute meditation practice. It's just 2 minutes. Couple of nice breaths, feel your body sink in, then get up and come out, go outside for a minute. Go outside, try to catch a little bit of sunlight if you can, if you have that opportunity. Just a couple minutes, doesn't have to be a long practice. Breathe that sunlight in, and that's going to stimulate you and get your body working. And then from a spiritual side, you can add in whatever your prayer practice is with regards to getting up. I'm an early person. I love to listen to the world wake up. And that's sort of, I connect a prayer to just like listening to the world. And of course, I live in the country. So, you know, the sound of the first bird and then the calling the other birds and the wind kind of waking up and everything. And eventually the humans get there. And I don't know if I would be doing that practice if I lived in New York, because New York never goes to sleep, but that's another program. So we get up, we're aware, we've got our breath going, we've connected to the sun, and we're going through our day, and we just get stressed out. So again, we can go back to our breathing practices. The Qigong breathing, this breathing practice and movement will calm us down. This will help release these 2 points will help release the stress if you've got a lot of stress going on. There's a point right where your hand reaches your wrist right here, and you can just tap those. And that's going to also relax you. If you can't do that, if you don't wear a watch, there's another point right between where there's these tendons, and you can just tap those. And that's going to also settle everything down. There are a couple of different acupuncture points that'll help do that. So I'm going through my day, I feel a little stressed, or I need energy, and then I'm going to do maybe the cloud hands a little quicker. I'm going to stimulate my brain depending on what side I need, or I'm going to take those fast, deep breaths, those ones to get me going. Everything that I've taught, so, and then the evening, settling down and relaxing everything. Everything I've talked about today are practices that help you get through your day in a calm, smooth, kind of connected way. Every one of those practices, when I use them, and I have some other ones, so I do like Tai Chi and stuff, I also am connecting to my spiritual belief. So within a breath practice, I feel like I'm breathing in the creator. That's the term that I like to use, kind of covers all of it to me. I'm breathing in the creator. When I'm letting my breath out, I'm letting go of all the stuff that I don't need. And sometimes I'll just take a practice, and I teach this where I just have my hands in prayer. I take a deep breath in, I open my hands out, and as I breathe out, I let go of what I don't need that's kind of holding me back right now. And then I take another deep breath in, I connect to my spiritual belief system, and I set an intention to move on to the next piece. We live in this kind of crazy, busy world, and what we forget is that at any moment, I can start my day over again. And I can do that by whatever practice I wake up in the morning with. If I learn a practice that I wake up in the morning with, then a very short one with breath and being aware, then I can do that during the day when I feel like I've disconnected. I just stop for a minute, bend my knees a little bit, get grounded, do some breath work, connect my spiritual practice into whatever that is, my spiritual belief. And all of a sudden, life just goes really smoothly. The more that we connect to our breath, the more we connect to the natural world, the more we connect to being outside a little bit, using the light in our eyes, breathing in good fresh air, the more we're connecting to the greater whole. And again, that takes us into being more like the tree, or being more like the squirrels or the animals or the natural world. How do we do on time? We're about 5 minutes. I can answer some questions, or I can go through. I think that was the main things I wanted to cover. Let me look on the.
I think we would ask if there are any questions. There is one question that keeps popping up. I put it in the chat, but I'll say it again. People are really loving this, Wolf. And the most common question is, are we going to post a video? And so long as you agree, we will. For everyone who wants to come back and watch it, it will be on the Lawyer Wellbeing YouTube channel. And we'll also put it on the same link where, like on the website where you sign up, we'll have the website, the link to the video as well. So I think I'll ask, are there any questions about any of the practices, anything that Wolf talked about in our remaining few minutes?
Do you close then left nostril to stimulate the right brain, and the breath through left to stimulate the right? Yeah, so it's opposite. So if I have my so whatever nostril you're breathing in, it's stimulating the opposite side of your brain. So if I'm breathing in through my right nostril, I'm stimulating the left side of my brain. Left side is the more intellectual side, right side is the more creative side. So you want to have the opposite nostril open. Do you have any books or podcasts that you like to recommend? Again, you can go a lot of the just general qigong practices and some breathing practices that are really simple. You can find on YouTube. Most of the ones on there are pretty simple. You're not going to do a qigong practice or a breathing practice per se that's really going to do you harm. And if you don't feel, if something feels off, don't do it. I mean, that's simple. There are some intense breathing practices out there that you can that you should have a proper facilitator, but these simple practices just to get yourself calmed down or work fine. All right, so somebody said about lifting their energy. Good.
You can follow Wolf on Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah, you can. Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I do a little spiritual post every morning on Facebook. So it's Jim Wolf Yoxall on Facebook, and I have a little group that about 300 and some people on it that I as a photographer, I take a photograph that I taken and then put a quote in. Some are mine and some are borrowed. And then, yeah, there's lots of good things out there. The one thing that I didn't throw in that I want to throw in really quick that I just remembered, a lot of times we have resistance against something. I think I've got like 2 minutes to do this. We have a resistance against something, and how do we break through that resistance? And there's a really great practice. You guys are all going to think this is crazy probably, but you get in the shower, you have a nice hot shower going and everything, and then you take and you find your breath, and then you take and crank that all the way over to cold and breathe through that. And what you'll find is that you'll learn to slow your breath down and control it. You'll learn to break through resistance, and then you can remember that and take that. I do that every morning. It's a really powerful practice.
Excellent. We're getting a lot of thank yous and how grateful people are. And I just echo all of that, Wolf, that I think probably different practices may have resonated with different people, which was just perfect in the way you presented it all. I'm totally going to be doing cloud hands and kidney chi exercises now. That was really just very fitting for me. And the setting the intentions, the way that you connected the movements to what's going on in our minds and setting intentions and grounding ourselves. It was just wonderful, Wolf. And I think there was something here for everyone, as we can see from the chat, and people wanting more. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much, Wolf. I'm so grateful for this. This is only the second day of Wellbeing Week in Law, so we have several more days. If you go to the individuals page on the Wellbeing Week in Law website, you'll see that we have 3 more free webinars that you can join, and lots of recommendations for other things that you can do to try out wellbeing practices that align with the themes of Wellbeing Week. So thanks so much again, and thanks to everyone who joined. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful evening or afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks.